What? Absolutely. And jumping into it, welcome to the Cafe Nightly Show. It is the 6th of March, 2024. Before jumping in, obviously talking real quick about Tahoe heading into the city release tomorrow. We'll get into some of those details, or at least reminders to be ready for, and a little bit of review on the city. Again, there is just barely enough time to get in your car and drive to Tahoe if you haven't yet done so. Tahoe is going to be a transport in city, a city that requires private transportation in order to get to. No trains, no planes to get into the city, no public buses at this point. So we're going to have that conversation. Make sure you're ready for tomorrow. If you're listening live, if you're not listening live and you're listening within the next couple hours, you still have time to get there. But we'll go over the details for Tahoe. We'll go over a couple realities for the city moving forward, and a couple little things for people to keep in mind as they're getting ready to mint in the city of Tahoe. There's some things we don't know. There's a lot we do know about what makes Tahoe potentially a little different than other cities we've had in the past. And then we're also going to look at a little bit of the same theory, the same theme we have going on this week, which is a little announcement and then a little more information. Like we're seeing with Tahoe, we're getting a little more information, or a little better way to look at it. And we had the same thing here with Genesis Week 2024. I was lucky enough to have an interview earlier this week with X1. If you haven't seen it, go see it. There was some nice little tidbits that were dropped along the way, pieces that were not in the original announcement. And because he was generous enough to give some of those things, it's still a good way to keep a track of what's going on for Genesis Week 2024. Well, but now we have more information. So we'll get into the more information for Genesis Week 2024 with big notes that more is to come. I'm waiting to hear more about a couple key details, and we'll go over a couple of those details of those hints that dropped during that interview on Monday, which, if you haven't seen it, there's a couple things that definitely should define what we're looking at for Genesis Week 2024 for sure. So before we get there, as we're headed that way, let's get the disclaimer out of the way. All views and opinions expressed by myself are mine and mine alone. They are not, and they should not be considered to be game strategy or financial advice. They don't represent the game or the team of Upland. Any guests or contributors who we do have on, they're entitled to their own opinion. I'm glad they have them. Shouldn't be taken as game strategy advice. Should not be taken as financial advice. They don't represent the game and the team of Upland. And of course, people who are not myself, they don't necessarily represent myself. So no game strategy advice, no financial advice, and doesn't represent myself or the Cafe Nightly Show, as well as Upland, of course. So to jump in, to take a look, let's look at the announcement that we had today. Take a look at the review here in a second, the review of the Tahoe announcement, and then get into some of the things about what those mean. Starting with our little bit of a teasy touch, a little more information here, a little more than we had before. We have this drop on Genesis Week 2024. A couple more details that we didn't have yesterday. We didn't have Monday, but they do give us something to look forward to. And again, people ask, what am I getting when I pay to do something? What is this pass? We have these passes in Upland. We have some right now that sold today. Ultimately it's hidden. You've got a value in there, but you don't know what that value is going to be until redemption. Well, Upland wanted to give a little more information about what's going to be happening Genesis Week 2024, at least in the terms of what you get for what you put in. And a couple of those details here today, obviously dropping here in resources, here in the calendar. Easiest place to find most things here. Genesis Week 2024 Block Explorer, essentially sneak peek at the Block Explorer, is essentially an update of a little bit different or a little bit extra, I should say, rewards along the way. We're thrilled to give you a sneak peek into some of the treasure trove of rewards. I'll get that cough drop out of my mouth. I can talk more clearly. Treasure Trove rewards awaiting attendees at Upland Genesis Week 2024 in Vegas. In a special preview, we're shining a spotlight on Block Explorers. So I read this as, hey, we're giving you a small slice of the pie of what's coming for Genesis Week 2024. More to come. I fully expect it to happen. A key highlight of the event symbolizes not just the spirit of exploration and innovation inherent to the Upland community, but also an exclusive and unique experience that Genesis Week promises to deliver. Okay, easy enough. Here, to claim these rewards, you do have to actually go to Las Vegas. So we have an in-person event. We have some rewards tied to that in-person event. Upland's trying to give us a little bit of a hint of here's some of the things you're going to get if you choose to go. We talked about and we'll talk about, and we'll continue to talk about all the events that are going to be happening, whether you go to Vegas or not. But here is a small part of what people going to Vegas can expect to get. Of course, Upland's doing this all now. They're not waiting. The reason they're doing it all this early is because they want people to get excited and to buy those tickets. Keep in mind a couple things. What I said last year, what I'm saying this year, what I said the year before. It takes time to make these reservations. You have to take time off work potentially. You are going to see that your ticket prices, your flights are cheaper to book further out than they are 2 weeks ahead. It is sometimes an issue of not having access to hotel rooms when you get too close. I don't necessarily think the Sahara, as large as it is as a facility, is going to run out of hotel rooms, but sometimes the pricing does change as you get closer to those events. And sometimes, even though things are available, not everything's available. Maybe you can still get flights in a month, but maybe those flights aren't going to be the right hours. Are going to be less advantageous hours. So that's why I kind of give the stress of definitely take your time, definitely do what's best for you. Anybody you can make it in person, more power to you. If you can't make it in person, definitely take advantage of the events that you can take part in with the virtual Genesis Week. But if you're planning to go, or if you're thinking about going, now's a great time to do that research, do the logistics, and just make sure you take advantage of as much advance notice as you can, because that is, again, potentially money back in your pocket for not getting the last minute rates. Get your tickets now and join us here. See, we are blue highlighted here. So this is a link to going over to the Eventbrite page. I will review the Eventbrite page because I was doing an interview with X1 on Monday. We went over a few things, but there's some details in there. We might as well touch on some of those details. Of course, if you can't attend in person, there's opportunities to win, the rewards. There's plenty of things to do. Sure, the prizes that once we hear what they are, they're going to blow us away, because X1's already said these are the largest prizes we ever had for Genesis Week. These sound to be the largest prize we've ever had for any event in the game of Upland. I like when things grow. I like when things scale. Bigger, better, I'll take it. Genesis Week Early Bird Explorer. So I already got my early bird ticket. According to a couple people today, they were still able to get the early bird ticket. That means not all 75 early bird tickets have sold out so far. Good news about early bird ticket: you save $15 off the later price, which is $100 for your ticket, and you get a couple extras. Well, why don't you say at least one extra? Your one extra is this early bird block explorer. Okay, pretty cool. And there's limited. The max on these is 75. There's only going to be 75 total early bird tickets sold. And then we're going to have the general. So if you are early bird, you get the early bird and you get the general. If you don't get one of the first 75 tickets, that's okay. You pay a little more and you still get this block explorer here. And then here's a cool thing. I don't qualify for this. I'm a little sad. I wish I did, but I don't qualify for this. This is the trifecta block explorer for people who went year 1, year 2, year 3. More cheese will be on that list. There's a few other people who will as well, but it is a big accomplishment. Again, it's a devotion of time. It's a choice. You had to be in the game, 2 Genesis Weeks a year ago, 2 years ago, you had to be in the game. I just didn't go to the Genesis Week that year. So for those who did year 1, year 2, and they're going year 3 this year, the Trifecta Block Explorer, again, there's not going to be that many of these because there's not very many people who are going to make all 3. But to the people who do, this is going to be kind of a little bit of a credential, right? I was there then, I am here now. To be eligible for the in-person event rewards, again, any 3 of these block explorers, you have to actually go to the in-person event. You can't just buy a ticket and not go. Players who level up their account to at least Uplander to get the rewards. Obviously, you cannot get the rewards if you're not an Uplander. You have to be at that account status to have permanent rewards. And purchasing multiple tickets will not result in multiple rewards. Okay, so 1 set of rewards per player. You have to actually go. Easy enough. Genesis badges, of course, we talked about this last year. The team put this out there. They gave us Genesis badges, and they're going to have these in a way to stack. Year one, you have a one next to it. Year two, you have two. The third year, you have a three. So we will have some people get updates on their badge. I will get an update to a two. Cheese will get an update to three. And if you're going the first year, it's still great to get a badge. So you get a badge just going for the first year for the in-person here. Receiving the badge is going to be a something that's based on attendance history. Again, you have to buy the ticket, but you also have to show up. These rare badges are tied directly to your account. You can't trade them. You can't sell them. They can only be acquired by in-person attendance at Genesis Week. That's key. That is worth noting. What would they look like is GW1, GW2, GW3. That's not one George W. Bush, two George W. Bushes, three George W. Bushes. That is going to Genesis Week for 1 year. Going the second year gets you GW2. The third year, you get this GW3. Pretty easy. Stay tuned. Genesis Week 2024 is going to be bigger, better, like Upland has already said, like X1's already said, bigger and better prize and rewards, more to it as far as the event's concerned. I've got a couple things I'm going to go over that have happened that are going to expand. And also, it is going to be something that theoretically, we're going to have more people there as well, which I'm looking forward to as well. More events, more details coming out about the rewards, about the panels, about the exhibitor opportunities for Genesis Week 2024. Expect to see them coming out in the next several weeks. Make sure you are part of the Unparalleled event. Get your tickets now. Again, they're soliciting again. The journey in Upland is gearing up for some remarkable moments. Here we go. Let's go get over to where we can see more, read more, experience more about these tickets. Here we go. There they are. So this is Eventbrite. We can see a number of things up here. This is the basic details. But then we have to kind of spread out here. I already have done it. I've already expanded it. And we see a few things that's along the way. We see the early bird price, $85. Again, first 75. After the first 75, a general admission is $100 a piece. What is included? You get the general admission Block Explorer, the Genesis Week general admission Block Explorer. Again, early bird gets everything that's part of the general admission, plus that early bird Block Explorer, plus the $15 discount to $85. But for $100, you get a Block Explorer. You get complimentary drinks at the happy hour meetup. I will tell you about the happy hour meetup here when we get through these details. Catered meals on Friday. That's breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That's 3 meals, okay? And that is in a pretty decent hotel in the Sahara. That is in a hotel that my experience is you're going to go sit down and have a meal and spend $30 per meal. We'll get into what that value looks like. Exclusive NFTs only available to those attending. Last year, in addition to the Block Explorer, we got a cart. We got the first cart in the game of Upland. It was a Genesis cart, and those sold in the secondary market after Genesis Week for quite a bit of UpX. Or, like myself, you held on to that and you had a one of the first carts in the game of Upland, and it is an exclusive cart. It's pretty cool, and it's going to be a little badge of I was actually there, because I was actually there. So, the bonuses, the digital bonuses are pretty exciting. They can be. I don't know what's going to happen this year. I don't know if there's a new class of asset that might be given out for the first time at Genesis Week. Keep in mind, Genesis in Upland means the start of our features. It was the start of the game of Upland. That's the reason we celebrate in that first week of June. We're celebrating 2019. I think it was June 6th, technically June 6th, 2019. That's why we're having it at the same time every year, because that's when the game of Upland really launched. And then we got a couple other things here. Upland swag. I think I picked up a t-shirt, and then you have the lanyard to keep track of you during the event, so you go in and out of Upland events. But you also have a few other things they throw in that swag bag. When you start doing the value, like I said, $30 a meal is not an unheard of or an excessive value for that breakfast, for that lunch, for that dinner. The drinks on the night before, I will tell you about drinks in Vegas. I'll tell you about drinks at any place where you're inside a captive casino. They aren't cheap. they do add up fast. If you don't choose to drink alcoholic beverages, there are non-alcoholic options there for you. But if you are drinking, drinking cocktails at the bar, the prices would normally add up. That is going to be something that is part of your admission. That's part of what you're paying for. Obviously, drink within moderation and be responsible, but it is something that is there and open to you as something you had paid for. It is there and open to you. There will be drinks. There are drinks. That final night, typically that final dinner, and when we get into the award ceremony and all of that. So that can be a pretty big value that adds up when you say, what are you getting versus what you paid for? I would have to say Upland subsidizing this. The reason I say Upland subsidizing this is between the 3 meals, all the event space. Last year we had some entertainment that came in, and people who were sponsored were paid to come in, who were partners and who were other all the Upland employees coming in. We have to say this is a subsidized event, which is fine by me, because it means Upland wants us to be there. They want to be able to celebrate what's going on in the game of Upland as we are getting ready for a new year, with a few new features coming along the way. It's great for announcements, and it is a great opportunity to be able to see other Uplanders at site. So keep that in mind. Genesis Week, virtual Genesis Week digital version is great as well. There's competitions. There's ways that you can see the team in different ways. We had talked to X1 and I about, what's the difference here? What's the bridging about this idea that I wanted to see better streaming coming from the game of Upland. What they essentially said was they decided, or the way things worked last year, the way equipment is available at these venues, you have to use the equipment that's provided. And with that, the streaming was a little rough. And what that means, what that looks like, is Upland's probably going to be delivering most of what they deliver to the general public, to everybody who's not there live in person. It's going to be pre-recorded things, which is fine because they'll be recording well at Genesis Week, quickly putting those together in a halfway decent package, making sure everything looks good, making sure everything can be heard and seen well, and then getting it out to the people who aren't there live in person, which is going to be a better way to interact than to try to watch these panels, essentially streaming them at low fidelity, having video and audio issues throughout the day. So expect to see that. Expect to be a big part of Genesis Week is there's going to be ways that this is put out for people who aren't going to be there live in person to interact and to be part of the events. Of course, being live in person is going to get you some experiences that you would not have if you're unable to make it. So Upland puts out here to obviously don't miss out. Prizes, giveaways, big part of it. There will be prizes that will be given out in person that would not be given out if you're doing online. Of course, all of the online events, all of the competitions, the things that lead up to Genesis Week, and some of the ones that are happening during Genesis Week, the people who are in the room, they'll be participating in those as well. But it will be a good time, hopefully, had by all. I do want to go back and highlight a couple things here that they did mention. We go back and we say some big the highlights here. Dates 6th and 7th. That's Thursday the 6th into the 7th of June, which is Friday. The happy hour starts the night before. I think we said 6 o'clock, 6:30. Things kick off for happy hour. It goes until the bar closes down, and bars don't really close down in Vegas. So I would put it at Upland's kind of lets things peter out there. They've got the bar sponsored for several hours, and it's going to be something where people have the opportunity to meet and greet and spend time with a variety of Uplanders. So good luck with that. We have the exclusive NFTs we'll be going over. There'll be some things that we know about, some things that we don't yet know about. Swag NFTs and physical swag will be coming your way. The happy hour again on the 6th, setting the stage for the rest of the weekend. And then, of course, as I mentioned, the all-inclusive dining throughout the day on Friday. And there's events. Obviously, you're not going to go sit there and eat and drink. That's not what you're going there for. You're going there to see the culmination of a hackathon. It has been confirmed there's going to be another hackathon. It might be a little different than what we've seen in the past. The focus will be a little different, but we got another hackathon version 3, third Genesis this week. And we're going to continue on with that idea of layer 2 development in a contest, integrated with Genesis Week. So there'll be presentations, there'll be awards on that. There's awards that are also given out for some superlatives that we've already seen. We've seen Broadcaster of the Year, we've seen Artist of the Year, we've seen Upland Player of the Year. We expect to see those same categories coming up this year. And of course, there's panels and there's speakers and there's booth space. And the booth space was extremely successful last year. X1 talked about an expansion of that. That means more booth space, more people running booths. Talked about the idea that it was a little bit last year. Not that it wasn't great, but that the playing of it was difficult because the booth space was running at the same time as some panels were going on. So there was some cross-pollination between the two. It was hard to hear one or the other. And they're going to try to work on that this year, do a little different variety or different layout to make that happen. So more people can participate. So more people can participate, more people can enjoy it. So looking forward to that. And one great thing that we had last year in a couple different iterations was just the time to essentially roundtable and talk to some decision makers or talk to some project leads or people who are in some positions where they are going to be making decisions over the next 6 to 12 months after Genesis Week about the game that you'll be playing, to actually get in and ask questions and learn more and feel more comfortable and learn things, and also give input that the team will be able to take, move forward with, and theoretically build the version or better version of the game to better meet what you want to see in the game. So I'm excited to see that opportunity be there for people. We'll get into a lot more when we get closer to Genesis Week about how people can support each other if they're not going to be there, and there's some people who are going to be there, and how do we work communally to make that happen. As a broadcaster this year, I'll be doing more. Fingers crossed, we'll have some opportunities that I think we may have, but I don't know about them yet. Some opportunities to broadcast and share and what's, all of the things that are going on at Genesis Week to those people who can't make it in person, so they can be part of it and learn more. And as always, when we have announcements, there's pieces that get left out. So if we get some, pieces and some statements and some conversations with the team members, and we can share that's a way to learn more about the game that people are enjoying playing, and theoretically to be in a better position moving forward for the next things coming up in the game. With that, I'm going to let it sit. I'm going to let it sit because we're going to see more. We're going to see more in the future here. There is a little video here at the bottom of that Eventbrite announcement, and that's essentially an 8-minute video. It's put on by Upland. It is going to be promotional. It is going to be a little bit. There's a little bit of post that's been done on it. So it's been cut together, been a little bit of a fun. Fun promotion, but it does give you some idea of some of the things that we did at Genesis Week last year. Expect to see many of those same things this year, even though it's only 2 days. I'm going to put a caveat, and then we'll talk about it more when we have more announcements from Upland, and that is it's 2 days, but I'm going to be there more than 2 days. A lot of other Uplanders are going to be there more than 2 days because you gotta get in, you gotta fly in. In some cases, that means with your flight plans, you gotta fly in at least a day ahead to get the right flight schedule. And then on the way out, same thing. If Genesis Week ends at 10 p.m. on Friday, which ends at 10 p.m. on Friday, you might not want to be on an airplane at 6 a.m. the next morning. So maybe you're in part of the day Saturday, and that's an opportunity to spend more time with Uplanders. Obviously, the team in the game and the game and the team are doing what they're doing before and after, either flying out or when they get in and setting up the event. Definitely understand that, but it's more an opportunity before and after to spend time with other Uplanders. If you are in businesses in Upland, if you have meta ventures, if you have layer 2 projects and you want to network, it's a great networking opportunity both inside and outside of the formal event itself. So I do want to put that out there as well. If you're looking at considerations of, oh my gosh, it's only 2 days. It doesn't have to only be 2 days, and it's not. And other Uplanders aren't going to treat it as only 2 days as well. So Wednesday through Sunday is when I'm going to be there. Other people will have their own schedule. You will have to work with your work schedule, I'm sure, to make it all make sense. But it is going to be an opportunity for people to do more than what Upland just has on the docket there. And with that, let's take a look at what we already have going on for our Tahoe, a city. Yeah, sure. We'll call South Lake Tahoe a city. Let's call it what it is, resort town. So our resort town of South Lake Tahoe is coming. It's coming tomorrow, 9 a.m. PT. Travel is open. They did open up earlier today. So that was having these launch pad properties be available for people to drive into. Once you get there, your car goes in, and then it says disembark, just like a train, just like a plane. And now you're floating. Now you're Supermaning. Now you're drifting around like we do and we have for years in the game of Upland with your Block Explorer. Your car is just a mode of transportation to get you from whatever city you're in into South Lake Tahoe. This is the first city that we do have to use transportation to get into. So if you do not have a car now, you have to borrow one or buy one. At this point, you cannot ride as a passenger with somebody else. There's no official taxi services that are going on, but you could buy or borrow or buy or rent or however you want to look at it to get a car. I always like to put this out there for cars. If you're not buying a car in the showroom, put your blinders or put your hand on your blinders and pull them off before you go and buy that car or rent that car or whatever you're going to do before you pay someone to get a car. Because Block Explorer stores, like some of the legit shops, you have the opportunity to drop that into the shop, third party, get it listed, have someone come and buy it. You have it reserved. It's pretty easy to do that. With a car, is a little different because of the placement, because it's an asset you have to place on properties where it's not as easy to have the sub-merchant category. Since you don't have the sub-merchant category, we do see that it's the people who are owning the cars that are able to sell them. But that is how we have a protection. That's how we have trustless sales, because you don't have to really extend anyone's trust. If you put the Upix in and you hit the buy button, you're going to get the car that you're buying. Otherwise, it's a two-process sale. You're having to, pay for one item or overpay for one item, and then you use a burner to get your brand new car. So with that in mind, I do like to put out there, cars are one of the most scammed items in the game of Upland. That in terminals, people say, hey, I've got this car, give me the money. You give them the money, you don't get the car. Vice versa. You give them the car, they don't give you the money. I don't know. I don't know why people decide that it's okay to do that. That's the way they're going to move forward in the game of Upland. I get that it's happening. I don't see it that's great. I don't like it. It's obviously something that Upland can't do much about, in that there are transactions that are happening technically without direct tracing and direct tying on the blockchain. We don't have a way right now to say these two items for these two items. It's a 1-for-1 trade. And for Upland, it looks like you just made a 1-for-1 trade. You chose to give your blank asset for a car. Obviously, I would agree that car is worth a lot more than that blank asset in most cases, but it's just the way it is. So let's be careful about how we do this. If you're buying through a showroom, you should be protected. If you're not buying through a showroom, know who you're working with. There are different people who've done a number of these sales. These people who are very trustworthy. There's people who are less trustworthy. There's people who are brand new. Someone who's brand new, they don't have a reputation, or it could be a brand new account and another person who's been in the community in the past who doesn't have a good reputation. They just happen to have a new face. They happen to have a new account that you're looking at, but it's the same person who may have scammed you last time. Be careful and good luck in that. But of course, we want to get that car soon if you don't have it now. The transportation takes a couple hours from most places on the West Coast. A couple hours is not long. A couple of real hours. If you get up tomorrow at 6 a.m. Eastern time and you travel from anywhere on the East Coast, then you will be able to get there in time. You'll be able to drive your car and get into Lake Tahoe. That's going to be done by obviously clicking on your car. You click on transport for the car or to travel, and able to travel to the city you want to be in, which would be Lake Tahoe, South Lake Tahoe for tomorrow. 9 a.m. PT is when that is going to all kick off and all happen. Again, this is a car only access city. Keep in mind, there's only 13,000 properties. They are not cheap properties necessarily. We'll get into what Upland chooses to call them. 1,000 of them are blocked off or are held or reserved for the pass. So there's only 12,000 that are going to be up for grabs tomorrow. 19 total neighborhoods. This makes out the city. Again, tomorrow, the 7th of March, 9 a.m. PT. Full city dropping all at once. Keep that in mind. With 13,000 total properties, it's just a pretty small city, about twice the size of, or a little less than twice the size of Rutherford. But it's another city where we are going to see it possibly. We haven't seen it happen for a while. We are possibly going to see a entire city, has a chance, no guarantees, to sell out in rather rapid succession. Because again, it's a smaller city. That means there's not as any properties to get minted. They are going to be more expensive UPX per UP2 than we saw in Stockton for sure, than we saw in Trenton. But we don't know exactly how things are going to line up when we start looking at everything. But I don't expect them to be the most expensive properties in the game. They definitely aren't going to be the least expensive properties in the game. And we'll know more early on tomorrow what the UPX per UP2 values are, and that'll determine how quickly the whole city mints out. 13% are going to be reserved FSA. I kind of went back and forth on this. Realistically, I don't see how it makes sense for many properties to be linked as FSA because you have to have a car to travel in. As far as I'm concerned, the second you have a car, it doesn't make sense to really say that you're still minting FSA at that point because you're at a point where you have an 80,000 UPX value asset. So if you were to add that asset value to any UPX you have, you're probably going to exceed the 100,000. Keep in mind, cars don't count towards assets, but in the spirit of the game, in the spirit of things going, I don't see an FSA as being somebody who already has a car. So just maybe not have to have those FSAs unless there's another way for FSAs to get in, unless they could ride with their cousin Tina, unless Jimmy could drive them out. Right now, that's not an option. So just surprised to see as many as 13%. 100% of the city's going to open all at once. 15 UPX is the low send fee. 30 is the default, and 75 is the highest. You can set your send fees. No terminals for trains, no terminals for planes. 9 total collections in a total of 19 neighborhoods. They're not all going to be neighborhood collections, but of 19 neighborhoods, of 13,000 properties, 9 collections sounds pretty darn good. 30% FSA. A treasure hunt tier, and this is important, this is key, is going to be tier 3. On 13,000 properties, we'll have a tier 3 treasure hunt city. A lot of people look at that and say, that's a pretty cute looking city. Pretty nice that we have a city of that size that is a tier 3. We have cities that currently have 150,000 properties that are open to mint that are tier 4s or tier 3s. That's a lot larger than 13,000 properties. And that's because some of our tier 1s that were scaled opening, they were only open a small portion at a time. We see a differentiated treasure hunt tier based on what percentage of that city is currently released. So with that, it seems pretty interesting. It seems pretty good to have a tier 3 treasure hunt city that's going to only have 13,000 properties. You can decide how you want to approach the city based on this fact. You can think about, what a treasure hunt grid looks like in the 21st century. I say 21st century, modern Upland. In the past, we've seen treasure hunt grids do different things. We don't know exactly what treasure hunting is going to look like in 6 months, but you can kind of look at the city itself and see that, 13,000 properties for a tier 3 doesn't sound like a significantly crazy idea. Or it actually seems like, in a way, it seems like it's a pretty rich offering anyways. 7,032 UPX is going to be the smallest property for a non-FSA in the city. Interesting. I like that they did an actual number before they did this thing, and it was kind of weird. And we kind of complained, a lot of us, and said, "Hey, Upland, can you be more clear about this?" And this was a way they kind of meant to say, "This is going to be the average for the low cost properties. This is going to be the average for the high cost properties." They didn't give us an absolute. This is the lowest cost property. The value of of saying that we have a 7,032 UPX property, it's limited because having one doesn't mean we have many. For all I know, we have hundreds. I don't know that right now, but it is nice to have that clarity. Hey, you could potentially have a property as low as 7,032 UPX. It doesn't guarantee that there's 100 at that, but there's at least one there. And then the max price 1,320, 1,200 UPX. And that tells me that it gives me some idea of range, right? It tells me there's not going to be 100 million UPX property. It tells me that, there are going to be some properties that aren't going to be 7,000 UPX. They're going to be a lot more than 7,000 UPX. Gives me some idea of range there, anyways. We can look at this image. This image is of all the neighborhoods, all 19 of them that Upland is honoring in South Tahoe. So see those, keep your eyes, feast your eyes on them, memorize them, be ready for tomorrow. Collection reveal is a week out. It's going to be the 14th of March, 9 a.m. PT. Gives you 7 days from the release to the reveal. I like it. That's speculation time. Good luck to all you during that period of time. The collection reveal schedule, we've done this before. We'll discuss it again before the collection reveal. But ultimately, properties that are unsold that are going to be in collection, they get locked. Then we get the collections revealed. Then sometime shortly thereafter, those properties that were in the collection that were not minted, they get repriced and then they get put back out for mint. Pretty simple, pretty easy. We'll go in more details if we need to as we get closer to collection reveal. But the three things I always like to remind people on a city release, which we will have tomorrow, 9 a.m. PT. Be in the city on time. That means that if the release is at 9 a.m. PT, be in the city at 8:50 a.m. PT. Go figure. If you want to get your drift set, you might have to be there earlier. There are a couple things that are a little better than we've had in the past in Upland. If you don't have enough cents, go and buy them 99 cents for 10. Again, not everybody wants to spend 99 cents for 10 cents, but it's not a bad idea to have more cents than you think you're going to need. If you go and send to a property and you think you're going to drift somewhere and you don't drift there the first time, you're going to send yourself a second and try to reestablish that drift. That's going to burn some of your sends. You're also going to potentially want to be leapfrogging or pushing to properties that are already minted to get close to properties that you want to mint. That's going to take sends. So keep that in mind and make that a part of your strategy and follow your own strategy when you're deciding how many of those cents you're going to need and acquiring them the way that makes most sense. Again, 99 cents buys you 10. The other strategy here is be ready. Be ready. Don't have 1,000 windows open if you're on your phone. Don't have 1,000 windows open if you're on your computer. If you want speed, go for the speed. Go and turn off your 3D animation. Go and turn off your celebrations for minted properties. So you're not going to be losing time for each activity you do that's preventing you from minting the next property. Go ahead and make sure you know what your authentication is going to be. If you have to go and manually authenticate 3 minutes ahead, so you know you're manually authenticated at the start, go manually authenticate 3 minutes ahead. We don't want to be stuck waiting to authenticate. And worst comes to worst, have your phone on you, have the authentication, the Google authentication, if you can have it, have the Google authentication, have it more or less pulled up. If it gets hit, if you get surprised with it, get that code over as soon as you can. Don't let this slow you down. And then, of course, beyond that, know your strategy before you get there. If there's a specific area you want to mint, know where it is. If you know that you have a budget in UPX and you don't want to spend above it, set that budget, get that budget ahead. You don't want to get halfway through and then feel like, ooh, I got this tug, I gotta buy a bunch of UPX. You don't want to put yourself in that position if you're not in that position to be put in. If you don't have the extra $200 to spend on UPX tomorrow, don't spend that $200, please. I do want you to participate in the game in the way that makes sense to you. Upland would love to take your USD and give you some UPX in exchange, but play within your means and figure out what that means to you for this city in advance ahead, so you can make the choices and you can prepare to make those choices to the best of your ability at this particular time in your Upland experience. So with that, and we're looking forward to tomorrow. I do want to remind people that a vanilla release means that nobody knows what the collections are. If somebody tells you they know for sure, they're wrong. Banana yesterday said he knew 99% that the main street, the big street in the city of South Lake Tahoe is more than likely going to hit. He said 99% sure. That's not a guarantee. When someone says they're 99% sure, I would roll that back to 90, and then I would roll that back to potentially 80. But with Banana, with all the things he brings with his research, I will give him the benefit of the doubt and put that at 90%. That collection may hit. And then I want to say this, and I can't stress this enough. If you're new to the game of Upland, or if you've done only so many collection reveals, dartboard philosophy. And I say that because I think that there's times that Upland chooses their collection in ways that doesn't make sense to the rest of the world. Do I actually believe they grabbed 40 darts and threw them at a map and said, there we go, those are the 40 collection properties? No, I don't believe that actually happened, but there is sometimes limited rhyme, sometimes limited reason. We don't know exactly why these collections are being called the way they are. And just don't get too invested in something thinking that is going to happen. But it is fun. That's part of the fun of the game. People love the vanilla releases. People love the speculation, and people do make decent profit because they did a little research. They got lucky to mint those areas, and then they took their profits where it lied. A waterfront property Wonderland super duper extra special giveaway. 20th mint, first mint, 8th mint, 15th mint, 15th mint, and 5th mint, all getting a reward here. So this is what we're doing. Instead of just doing the mint master badges, which we're doing something on top of that. We're doing a game of Tahoe. Tahoe. The value of a T is based on the position in the alphabet. 20th. A, position in the alphabet. 1. H, 8. O, 15. E, 5. That makes sense to me. If you are the 20th mint, the 1st mint, the 8th mint, the 15th mint, the 5th mint in the city of South Lake Tahoe, you get yourself a landmark. I'm sorry, I said landmark. You get yourself a very special property, not a landmark property, very special property, and that is a waterfront property. These waterfront properties are reserved for prizes to be given away. So there's 5 right there. There's an additional one to the person who mints the most. Keep in mind, it is a mint master badge as well, but the person who mints the most properties in a 2-hour window, 2 hours following the release, they are going to get a waterfront property as well. So that's fun. That's a little bonus there. Mint master badges, like I said, those help you out in a number of ways. They are giving people a badge because people love badges. They can help people, obviously in other associated contests as well. We have some times where you get bonuses for having a Mint Master badge. Exclusive South Tahoe Block Explorer sale. Guess what? It's over. It went fast. I didn't get one. It's just the way it is. That happened today. 9 a.m. PT, 26th. Sale happened. They're all gone. 30,000 UPX, purchased for $30. Block Explorer as a bonus. It's over. It happened. Your exclusive Lake Tahoe Ranch House will have a period of the weekend, it looks like, where we'll be able to go and get this started. This ranch, this special Lake Tahoe ranch. It looks like an A-frame. It's not quite all the way to the ground as an A-frame, but it looks like it's essentially a modified A-frame, a raised A-frame, as opposed to just being a basic ranch. It is nice. It is kind of that mountain town feel. And we have the weekend to get them started. You obviously have to fit in order to get it started, but you do have to at least put the minimum spark and leave it on until that building is completed. You can obviously put more than minimum stake if you choose. This is an opportunity you won't want to miss. Again, these unique structure contests, the badge that's out there, it requires you to get 30 unique structures. So you have to keep building these structures. And if Upland says, oh, we're going to have this special structure and that special structure and that special structure, each time we have a release of a city, build that special structure because that's going to get you towards your 30 count. It also gives the potential that those areas are going to be heavily built out with one type of structure that is designed for the area. That'll be fun. But it is also, like I said, it is that opportunity to potentially work towards getting a badge, which a lot of people want to do. South Tahoe Pass, I was going to say badge, but pass. It started today. It sold out. 5,000 or sorry, 5 USD, $4.99 is going to buy you the pass. That sale is over. Can still be purchased on the secondary market if you choose to do so. But with that purchased pass, you are going to have the opportunity to hold on to it or to sell it. If it gets sold, you can also buy and hold on to it until the snapshot. Once the snapshot is taken, for each pass you hold, you have one property reserved for you. Like I said, there's $1,000 reserved now. They're not reserved for anyone specifically, but once you do hold on to and get counted in that snapshot, you are going to be able to turn around and have a property reserved for you, and then potentially go and get that minted. Keep in mind, you do have to spend your own UPIX to do so. There is no reserved UPIX because you bought the $5 pass. $5 pass just allows you to be part of that snapshot. All right. The minting deadline here on this second structure, and the special thing about this second structure is you have to get one of those special, really handy dandy properties that was coming through the pass sale. Once you have that minted, now you can, if it's the right size, get this this structure started. Again, there's going to be less than 1,000 of these. Less than 1,000 properties that'll qualify to build these potentially, and you'll only have the weekend to do it. Snapshot takes place March 15th at 9 a.m. PT on the passes. Then you can start minting your properties. And then you do have a closure. The closure is the 18th of March to mint the properties if you get them reserved for you as part of that pass. If you choose not to mint and you have a property reserved for you, poof, it goes out to the general public. They can mint it at mint price. There is going to be, at the end of the public minting, there's going to be one more thing, and that is going to be that there's an additional 24 hours under which you will be able to construct that structure. The deadline to construct the unique building is March 19th at 9 a.m. PT. Nothing crazy there. We've seen this with 2 other city iterations. They continue that pattern. 1,000 of those passes went out at $5 a piece, or $4.99. They all went out, all 1,000. They're out in the market on USD with markup. They're out on the market with UPIX. Again, UPIX not at a 1,000 to 1 ratio, but we've seen those UPIX options out there. It does kind of create this secondary market that is built and propping up players who have shops, and it's just more of a matter of if you bought one and you choose to hold on to it until the snapshot. It ultimately there'll only be snapshotted once. There's only one snapshot, so you can't get the snapshot and then go sell it to somebody else so they can get the snapshot. But what you can do is make that decision whether you really want to be snapshotted, whether you want to get an additional property. Keep in mind, you have to have the UPIX available to mint it. And then if you want to have an additional property in the South Lake Tahoe area, these passes are going to be used to get snapshot and then mint property. They're not burnt, so you're going to keep this long term. It's kind of cute. It's kind of nice looking right here. The South Lake Tahoe pass. You will be able to trade it and sell it between now and the snapshot. And then, of course, whoever's holding this at the time of snapshot, that's who has a property reserved for them. That's who has the opportunity to mint, and that's who is ultimately going to hold on to the pass afterwards and decide what they want to do with it. Once the snapshot's done, It's now it's now an NFT, and you can do whatever you want with that pass. Prepare to be part of the history again. We have those launch properties. Get into South Tahoe now. Start your engines, gather up at launch pads, get ready. Unforgettable city opening. Great news. Thank you, Upland. But yeah, the takeaway, the notes on this on my side are: this is the first iteration of this. This is the first time that we have a city that's travel in only. I have looked inside South Tahoe, see who's flowing around, see what type of people have gotten there. Keep in mind, you're going to have a concentration of people with larger accounts. That's because not everybody has a car right now, but everybody who's a big account does have a car. So you're going to see a concentration of that there. You're going to see that with 12,000 properties open for mint tomorrow. You're likely going to see that we're not going to have enough properties if the UPX for UP2 is not so high that it is preventing people from minting. Keep that in mind. And if you do have things that you want to participate in, bring the UPX you want to bring your max budget, and keep your eyes open and mint what you can. I do want to put this in perspective. This is the first time we've had a city that the entire city gets dropped at once, and we get to mint the entire city for, oh my gosh, it feels this way. I'm going to say it. You can be corrected if I can be corrected, but a year. And I actually think that I'm correct in saying that. With that in mind, it is nice to be able to have a city that you can mint all at once. It does change people's perspective. It does change their minting strategy. It does change what the value proposition is, because you could turn around and you could set up your, again, so long as Upland turns on the treasure hunting soon, you could set up your grid and go right to treasure hunting in a short period of time. You know what level you're going to be set at. You know what tier you're going to be set at for treasure hunting. It is tier 3, and you know that if you get started in the city and you know you have a certain number of properties, you can try to get a grid. But we do know the UPX for UP2 is going to be something. Upland did say that it's a somewhat pricey city, meaning expect that you're not going to be seeing 50 UPX per UP2. That happened in Stockton. It's not going to happen in South Lake Tahoe. Just be ready for what is coming. Otherwise, I'm looking forward to going and minting tomorrow. Good luck to all the people who are looking to do so. I'm looking forward to more hints, more details here on the Genesis Week, Upland Genesis Week 2024. Those will be coming. Maybe not tomorrow, but those will be coming. And ultimately, I don't know what's going to happen with our totems. I'm going to put that caveat right out there. I don't know when those are going to happen, but Upland is focusing on the city now. Upland did focus on their new travel, new car features, which is kind of nice. But I do want to remind people that we do have 1 week left here of running for Frost Week or Frost season. That means that we will have another drop on the 11th. That means that when the Frost season ends, I think on the 15th, 16th, when Frost season ends, there is a leaderboard contest that is kind of taking place in the background right now. That is when that kind of snapshot will be happening, 15, 16. So you want to be in good position before that happens if you're trying to win prizes on that leaderboard. Just like to remind people of that coming up. Other than that, we are going to get some more interviews in later in the week. Maybe we'll get lucky and see what happens there. Tier 3 does pay out 0.01 SPAR for treasure hunt standards, Jimmy Jester. Good question. So we're looking forward to seeing this new city come in the game, that we can theoretically, it's a relatively small city, that we can see how it evolves, see where we are in the game of Upland for treasure hunting. That can change at any time, but we know where we are for today. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for participating. Be ready for tomorrow and have fun. Good luck. Research materials are out there. I'll drop one hint without being overly promotional. Last night, our guest was the one and only Banana. He does put a banana-rific guide out there. If you choose to get that for Lake Tahoe, it does have a cost. I'm not going to get into pricing in USD. I'm not going to get into pricing in UPX, but I will tell you that is an option. So you can go and hit up Banana if you want to potentially get his research, his version of research, with a caveat that he doesn't make guarantees. He really can't. He doesn't know what Upland's going to do. So for tonight, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your time. As always, we are here in the Upland Cafe Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. PT. We are on YouTube Monday through Friday, getting kicked off a little after 7 p.m. PT. And would love to see you tomorrow. Love to see you Friday. And looking forward to all the things coming up here in Upland. Thank you again. And if you are in Upland Discord, as always, I like to put it up front. Feel free to unmute your mics. The floor is yours.